Our next session is a keynote address on how technology and innovation are aligned with Smart City mission for building a future-ready nation. In this session, we have Mr. Kunal Kumar, Joint Secretary and Mission Director, Smart Cities Mission, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India. The purpose of the Smart Cities Mission is to drive economic growth and improve the quality of life of people by enabling local area development and harnessing technology, especially technology that leads to smart outcomes. Let's hear more from Mr. Kumar. Over to you.
Very good morning, good afternoon to ladies and gentlemen on this conference. I think one of the things that all of us, when we think about cities, we think about what is smart cities and what is smart cities mission in Government of India doing and how are the smart cities performing. And this curiosity is obvious because I think, this entire concept of smart cities has caught everyone's imagination across the world, be it mayors, be it commissioners in our country, engineers, planners, experts. Everyone understands this concept and everyone understands it in their own different ways, which is also the beauty of this concept because it brings different kinds of flavors on the table. And also, by the way, there is nothing which is right or wrong as far as smart cities go. Something which is right in a particular context may be wrong in another context and vice versa. So it's not a very straightforward, straight-jacketed, unilateral, one-dimensional concept. And all of us in Government of India and the states and the cities and the entire ecosystem who are trying to develop smart cities in India have now understood this fact. So I would start by actually putting down those 4 or 5 important things which define India's smart cities movement. One, and the most important one, is we define smart cities as those cities which work for their people. If a city doesn't work for me, if I cannot commute well, if I can't access water, or maybe I can't feel safe, I have bad air quality issues, then I cannot call my city smart. That's the citizen's perspective. And therefore, we in India have championed the citizen's perspective and said our smart cities will be truly smart when they are built around the needs and aspirations of their community. The second thing that has emerged is, that cities are not only going to be smart, cities are not smart if they're only going to solve problems of today. They need to be able to predict and solve problems which may emerge tomorrow. A third thing that comes out is that we don't have a luxury of resources, and therefore our smart cities have to be those cities which actually optimize the use of resources, and resources are of all kinds: energy resources, financial resources, human resources, and create smart ways of using less resources to create more impact, to impact more lives, to impact more geographies. And this is, this applies in many, many more ways than only looking at optimization. This is also about long-term sustainability. So that brings me to the fourth important point, which comes out from what we think is core to Smart Cities mission, is this whole angle of sustainability, which means that, you have to think of a city as a running entity, as an economic entity, as an engine, which is not going to only, be here for today, tomorrow, but it's going to be there for decades and centuries. So what you do today should also be useful tomorrow. What you do today should not take away the resources which the next generation needs. Should be sustainable, not only in climate terms, but also in economic, community, and many, many other terms. Your city should become future ready and should always be thinking about how to positively affect its future. Now, 100 smart cities in India, all of us know, are working on about $27 billion worth of projects, 205,000 crores, 190,000 crores have been tendered, 160,000 crore worth of projects have been work ordered, and around 60,000 crore worth of projects have been completed. If you see the number of projects that have been completed, almost half, and the remaining ones are, but by volume, so but by amount, if you see, it's only 30%, but if you look at the numbers, it is half, which shows that the bigger projects are yet continuing, and they will now start to get completed soon in all the cities. And therefore, when the mission comes to an end in 2023, we expect most of the projects to get completed, which will be a tremendous, tremendous achievement, not in the completion of projects, but because we would have created a sort of practice on new areas of work, and new avenues, new challenges, which were hitherto not talked about in our cities. And the work that will happen under the Smart Cities mission will create this ecosystem confidence that Indian cities can actually become the best cities in the world going forward. That is, sort of invaluable, that contribution that the Smart Cities mission is going to make. What are they doing in this money? So smart cities are actually working in many, many different sectors. Some of us are aware that, in fact, most of us in the urban sector are aware that there was a very interesting report, one of the path-breaking reports, which came out in 2011 from the high-powered expert committee, which actually laid the roadmap for India's next 2 decades of urbanization. And it talked about 13 or 14 different sectors where India needed to invest in its urban areas. And you would be happy to note that the Smart Cities mission is investing in all those areas. And in fact, has also started investing in new age areas, which were not probably being thought about in 2011. Data, technology, mobile-based application solutions, use of drones, use of GIS, use of artificial intelligence, machine learning, edge technologies. These are things which were not talked about then, though they existed, but now these are areas which have started to get used in many ways in our cities. Then fixing all the problems, requires your work on mobility, work on water, wastewater, sanitation, housing, affordability. Then, of course, it is about safety, security, health, education, and so all the smart cities, all these 2,05,000 crores of projects are essentially in these areas. And you cannot really generalize that all cities should work on these areas, because we understand the smart cities are driven by their stakeholders, and therefore which areas are prioritized in which city depends on the context and the needs and aspirations of the stakeholders of that city. So having come to this stage, I think there are many, many pluses that we can see emerging. One, we see emerging new areas of work which were never taken on in municipal corporations or in cities. There's entire work on technology, on data governance, just 2 indicators. There are many, many things we can talk about. But one that, the cities are investing in things like integrated command and control centers, which became very, very useful during COVID times, and have, first it was useful to manage the pandemic. Now it has also been used to manage the vaccination drive, and continue to be improvised. Cities have used these centers for disaster management, for flood control, for cyclone management. Cities like Prayagraj used it most innovatively for management of the Kumbh, and day-to-day policing, traffic management. I see, for one, because I travel a lot to many, many cities in the country, everywhere people say, sir, smart city mein kuch hua ho ya na hua ho. But we see people follow traffic rules. Everybody respects the zebra crossing. People are starting to walk and cycle more. These are things that were never talked about. And therefore, one of the key contributions the smart cities is making is bringing the focus back to the cities and driving key areas of work which were hitherto untouched but were very important in the urban sector. The second thing it has done is actually created a completely innovative way of looking at how to develop solutions. You could talk about doing the regular brick and mortar work. You could talk about doing water supply in a particular way. But now the same water supply that was happening in the past is happening in a better way, because now you have better feedback loops. You have better mechanisms to sense what is happening. You use not only civic infrastructure, but you intertwine it with digital infrastructure to get adequate feedback, so that you are able to optimize your leakages or non-revenue water and so on. So the point I'm making is, this has sort of created the innovation muscle in Indian cities. There are many approaches which have got developed because of the work that the smart cities has done. And one of the most fundamental approach, which is used by all the startup industry, all the innovation that happens in the corporate sector, is what I call the test, learn, and scale approach. So, and smart cities have been doing it across, whether it is through placemaking initiatives to develop urban spaces, or it is in the use of technology to, maybe provide services or maybe provide information to people. What they do is first they have a testing phase. From the test phase, you learn whether the idea is workable or not workable. If it is not workable, you drop it or change it. If it is workable, you take it further. So you learn from it and then you scale it. So test, learn, and scale approach has started to really get embodied in the way our urban governance functions. Then this entire concept of human and machines working together. So one of the things that we all talk about is digital technologies will overtake humans. It will reduce jobs. It will take away. It will cause. It is a double-edged sword. Yeah, we all are right. It is a double-edged sword. But the fact is that if you can use technology to support humans, for example, the entire concept of digital classrooms and smart classrooms that we are trying to do under the smart cities, there we're not saying that a smart classroom should replace teachers. Smart classrooms are adding to the efforts of the teachers in supporting them in the way they want to teach their children. Smart health centers are not really replacing doctors or nurses, but they're giving instruments in the hands of doctors and nurses so that they can actually give better health service or maybe reach out to more people. A classical example is when a health worker goes into a slum with a tablet, and in the tablet there is telemedicine software which he then uses to connect that slum dweller, and he can then speak to a doctor far away from that place and explain his symptoms, and the doctor can prescribe medicines. All this is happening because that health worker was there already, but now the technology has come to support him through the tablet and the telemedicine software, which is now impacting both reach of health services as well as the quality of health services. So these are certain areas, and plus, of course, this entire focus on sustainability, where the Climate Smart Cities initiative has actually brought about this understanding in our cities as to what is climate sensitive, how do cities develop in a climate sensitive manner. The 5 verticals of air quality, biodiversity, green buildings, energy, mobility, so on, that we have created, and the ranking systems that we have created. For example, the ease of living ranking, the municipal performance index. These are areas which are now building healthy competition among cities. But more than that, they are driving cities towards outcome-oriented approaches. Now, it's good to say that I have done this much in mobility, I have created these many roads and all, but has it really led to easing lives of people? That's what the ease of living is talking about. The end result. It's not what you're doing which matters. It's what the effect that is happening on ground, the impact that is getting created matters. So we've done 2 rounds of, the ease of living index, municipal performance index. We've also done the climate smart cities index. We are soon to launch the city GDP framework, which will essentially also bring this competition and also give cities the understanding of how their GDP is shaping and how they are doing economically. And then, there are a lot of different approaches that we have. For example, the approach towards looking at streets as spaces for people. It is a very important change, because the way we think about roads is roads are places where vehicles are supposed to move. Wrong. Now the way we think in our smart cities is roads are places where not vehicles but people are supposed to move, and can they be looked at as shared space for people? So in our Streets for People program, Cycles for Change program, Public Transport for All program, Nurturing Neighborhoods program, we are trying to reimagine spaces in cities as spaces for people. After all, cities are built for people. They're not built for cars. This is not to say that cars are not good for cities. It is not to say that either this or that is good, but it is about essentially focused on, if cities cannot work for people, then we have to rethink our entire philosophy. So It is not a binary question of whether cities are built only for cars or only for public transport or only for cycling, but cities have to be built for everything and for all ages, all abilities. And this is an approach that we are trying to build: inclusivity, bring about access of services to everyone, bringing about better quality of services for everyone, bringing about the use of technology to enhance the service delivery function, improving urban planning through use of systems like geographical information systems, management information systems, integrated approaches to data management, and so on and so forth. So you can see that the cluster of activities is pretty high, pretty large. A lot of partners have worked with us. This is not the work of one person or one organization of 100 cities. I would also thank ET government for being a vocal participant in the smart cities movement and a very active participant. All the media houses have very, very actively participated. NGOs, community organizations, expert groups, they are participating with us. A big applause should go to the industry and also the startup community for working with the smart cities mission. So it's a movement in true sense. And right from the political executive to officers to media to industry to startups to educational institutions, everyone has come forward. And I'm very, very hopeful. Sometimes when we see a glass which is half full, we have two different opinions. One, it is half full or it is half empty. But if you look at where we were, it was not even half full. So I think now we've reached a stage where we have confidence. We are seeing a movement emerging, or it has already emerged. And we are seeing different level of confidence in urban governments. We are seeing different kinds of expertise develop. We are seeing different kinds of approaches develop, and which is going to pay us tremendously well in the long term. And therefore, I think the smart cities mission is not a program. It is a movement. It is a approach. It is a thinking paradigm change, which is going to lead our cities towards a future which will be more citizen-centric, more adaptive, would be able to take on all kinds of challenges that they come to face in the future. And I think all of us will continue to work together to make that dream realized. So one of the things that many people ask me is what happens beyond the smart cities mission. Now, smart cities mission is still the next year, June 2023. The smart cities movement is going to continue. So we are working with states and cities actively to see that now we span away from 100 cities to all the 4,800 plus cities that are there in the country. We are looking at avenues to reach to all the 4,800 cities. The National Urban Digital Mission is also going to, work on providing online services in all the 4,800 cities. Whether it is our data strategy, whether it is IEEE as a service, it is going to reach all the cities in the country. So essentially, we are not looking at one pilot leading to another pilot. In a country like ours, 100 cities is almost pilot. But, from 100, we have to now take the learnings to all the cities in the country. So whatever the design of the mission be going forward after 2023, that is open to debate at the moment. And we are discussing and we are forming a consensus on that one. But for all that happens, one has to rest assured that the smart cities movement will now reach out to all the cities and every nook and corner, every urban area of the country to make the lives of citizens better. That's going to be the future of the smart cities mission. Thank you so much to ET government for having given me this opportunity to speak to you. And I wish all the participants very best, all the very best. And I seek your support in working together to continuously take our smart cities to a virtuous cycle of improvement. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar, for all the valuable points shared on smart cities. Ladies and gentlemen, let's proceed to the next session. Stay tuned.